Yeah.
Just give it to me now. I don't care.
If you pay 20 quid.
I would. If they did a... Sorry, Christian, I'll just say
I was going to say, poor Christian, man. Let
Sorry.
him speak.
What I will just say, if they put it on Disney Plus with a £16, £17 rent thing, I would do it. Absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
Basically.
But then it's a bit pirated, won't it?
Oh, no good!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Spacemen From Pluto podcast. I'm your host today, Christian, and as always, I am joined by the monstrously talented...
Crawl!
He's still doing it. It's Dan.
And James.
So today, in honour of the recent Godzilla vs Kong, or Kong vs... I can't remember which way around it is. I'm pretty sure it's Godzilla vs Kong. Whichever way round it is. In honour of the recent trailer and then the week of speculation and rumours and discussion that has happened around the trailer, we're going to be talking about our favourite monsters across film and TV.
A fun topic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to see what you all pick. Should we
Well,
quickly
let's crack on.
discuss what we define as a monster?
Yeah, because this was something that had a bit of contention while we were planning this one. Like, what counts, what doesn't, what is a monster?
What do you think,
Yeah.
Christian?
I can't remember my exact wording now, but I said it was something sort of supernatural that and beyond human that wasn't a ghost. Like I just said, like, no ghosts. A lot of the lists I looked at for best monsters had like Sadako from Ringu on there and like the Babadook, and I wouldn't count them as traditionally monsters. I'd count them more as ghosts.
They're just undead.
Demonic presences.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Zombies as well. I wouldn't count as monsters.
Yeah,
I would see. This is what we mean. I would say that zombies are monsters. There's something physical about being a monster.
I'd say that zombies were monsters because, of course, Frankenstein's monster. It's literally in his name, and he's pretty much just a zombie.
And I was thinking of
But
my
is it that-
definition. I think zombies fit that bill of my definition of what a monster is. So fuck it.
Yeah, and like for me, a conversation that we had that maybe I've come around to, but you guys were saying like, oh, the Rancor from Return of the Jedi. I was like, but is that a monster? Is that an alien? For me, monster feels more Earth, origin. What's the word? Like comes from Earth. There you go.
Terrestrial.
Terrestrial.
There you go.
Interesting.
Like aliens are. If it's from another planet, it's an alien. But if it's from Earth, that's what makes it a monster. But then the more we think about it, the more I'm kind of like, if you want to call the xenomorph a monster, sure.
Yeah, because
It's
for me,
pretty monstrous.
For me, a monster's
God,
like
I'm losing my words today. It was only a matter of time before it happened to me. It's happened to everyone else at this point.
Nice.
Is that a dig at me? Oh.
Moving on. Anyway.
Imagine if you fumbled that line. Is that a dig? Imagine if you got that wrong. That would have been so good. Yes, Daddy, it was a dig at you. Was that a me at dig? Is that? Yes. I find like the for me a monster's something very very like animalistic.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has no real sense of morality or like kind of culture. Like for me, like the Predator doesn't quite count because it hunts for sport and has trophies. Where like Godzilla is just like a force that'll kill instant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I absolutely know what you mean.
Everybody started laughing. So
The Predator culture. It's just funny the way you put it. The
they
Predator's
have
got
a culture. They
Like
have
he's-
technology and lasers and
Like
shit.
he's into jazz and Spanish food and stuff. And like,
Coffees and
Oh, yeah.
drinks. And
it's me.
But you said that earlier,
pretty
Ben,
much.
about off camera. You said that the monsters don't have sort of culture and they're more animalistic. Dracula's one of the biggest monsters out there, and he's one of the most civilized characters that you see. So
Yeah, I am a
it's-
hypocrite.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
essentially, what we've decided is you can't really define a monster very well.
Yeah,
It's quite hard.
Basically, there's a lot of ways you can define a monster. We're just going to go down our lists, and they'll be based on our personal definition of what we class as a monster in film.
Yeah.
Feel free to tell us that we're wrong and our definitions are completely off in the comments.
Yeah, let's see.
What's your definition of a monster?
Yeah.
Just talk to us, yeah.
Communicate. We're alone. Go on, Christian. Start us off.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I could straight away talk about Godzilla, but I've talked about Godzilla enough this week. Not on the podcast, just off the podcast. You know, done a little bit of ranting and raving about how upset I am that Godzilla's the bad guy. But whatever, I'm over it. I'm not really.
You don't sound very over it.
You sound the exact opposite. I'm over it, actually.
But I'm gonna start with an alien.
Nice.
Just to completely
Derail.
disregard what James.
Just to negate that entire opening 15 minutes. Oh well.
And I was going to talk about The Thing from The Thing.
Great choice.
Because I love its design because it doesn't really have one. It just kind of
It's just a thing.
does.
Assimilates.
Yeah. You never see properly what it looks like unless you're doing the 2011 one that I didn't watch.
I've only ever seen the original. I've never actually seen the new CGI one.
That's why I said I don't think you see what it looks like in any versions of The Thing unless you do in the 2011 one, because you know they did that with the Blair Witch where they were like, and this is what the Blair Witch looks like. It's like, don't do that, you've ruined it.
It's still one of the. It's got arguably one of the most impressive feats of practical effect filmmaking committed to film, and it's the sheer the imagination of the idea is so expansive. It's glorious.
Yeah, I mean, I just love its I just love its design because you know it assimilates sort of animals, people, whatever, and becomes them, but then its defense mechanism when it's attacked is just it's pretty mental. It just goes mad and can basically pull from several different things. I'm assuming it's several different things it's previously assimilated because you know at the end of the film the dog head comes out at some point. That there's like the weird sort of alien spider legs that would probably something assimilated from another creature.
Like the bit when he they're trying to defibrillate him and the doctor gets his hands bitten off.
So good.
That could be an alien. That who knows what creature's that from. Cool.
There's no telling what the original Thing looked like.
Yeah. And
what its original it literally could just be a shapeshifter and it just assimilates parts from things.
Yeah.
It's one thing to especially in the older films, to go, so we're making Predator, we will make one suit, and then we're done for the film, right? They went, we're going to make a different practical effect, a monster for every scene this thing's in. That is, like you said, Ben, it's an absolute feat of practical effects.
It's honestly, every time you see it, the design and the way it moves is so different and impressive, and it's so just it's super creepy, especially when you first see it and it starts firing all the sort of sticky goo lines out to assimilate all of the dogs.
Oh yeah, that's really that dog section's upsetting to see.
Yeah, it's really upsetting.
One question I'd ask you, Christian, is obviously it's a great monster. It looks great on screen. What would you say to the argument that it's hard to put in a film because it's so overpowered?
I would say that it is incredible. I mean, of course, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. Just close your ears for a few seconds. But at the end of The Thing, you don't know whether it's dead or not.
Exactly. This is what I mean. It's when you introduce when you introduce that it can sort of come back from even a single drop of blood. How do you ever defeat that without doing the movie thing of, oh, but it worked this time?
Well, that's why that adds to the terror.
Oh, it does, but I just mean how do you do good writing with something like that? It's the whole Superman thing of how do you work something in that's so powerful without it being just a bit, except that it happened.
I would say, luckily, they succeeded. They tried their best, and it's uncertain whether they succeeded or not, and they probably didn't.
I would say, and there'll probably be a few answers that I mentioned today that prove this, but I'd say that some of my favourite horror films are the ones where they don't necessarily come up with a like traditional happy ending solution. You know, The Thing, they blow it up, and you've got Giles wandering back in, and they just sort of sit across from each other, and they're like, "Are you?" They sort of imply that they think each other is the Thing. No one knows who the Thing is, and they're like, "Well, I guess we'll just freeze to death." So yeah, that would be my first pick. I've got a few others that I could go through, but I will let other people take the floor
Before you
first.
take all the good ones.
Yeah. So who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Oh.
God,
Who was first there? It's like having a shotgun duel on Halo. It's like the ping. Who actually wins the duel?
He's got a better internet connection.
Yeah, I'll go next. So mine's probably a bit outside the box in terms of our definition, but I think you'll appreciate it. I hope you will. It's basically an entity. It's definitely a kind of a monster. I would define it as a monster. And it's definitely kind of terrifying in my book anyway. I'm picking the sort of central entity. I'll call it an entity in It Follows.
Yes. I thought
Yes.
Christian might have picked this.
I do actually have this written down on my list. Because
Well, scrub it out.
it's such an interesting entity.
Yeah. Like I remember thinking of a similar idea with a mate that was basically around, like, almost for a laugh, we kind of came up with this like idea for a horror film and like what would be like scary, and we thought of this thing called the automaton, which is essentially what happens in It Follows, where it's just like a thing that exists that its only wish is to get to a certain person, and it doesn't have any special power. It just has like the will to kind of kill someone. It doesn't run or sprint like a zombie. It doesn't kind of, it doesn't have like super strength or anything like that. It literally just walks towards you, and when it finds you, it gets you. And I really like that idea, for sure. And It Follows is basically that. It's like, I love the idea of like, they're constantly having, it's more of a psychological thing, because they're constantly having to be aware of this thing that's there, and then they know that it's there coming for them, and they've got to keep moving. They've got to worry about where they're sleeping. They've got to think about all these things, because this thing's like could be anywhere at any moment. And I really do.
It's a great, like, terrifying entity, because it can look like anyone. It can look like someone you know. It can look like a random person.
Yeah.
It doesn't move very fast. I think when I looked up the exact way that they described it, it moves at half the average speed of a normal person walking.
Oh, okay.
Just a slow trot.
It's a very slow walk.
Yeah.
But I just like this idea that, number one, like, you can pass it on to someone else, but that's not just, you have to then prepare that person, because if they get killed by it, it starts coming back after you again. So you can't just pass it off and be like, and it's done. I've gotten rid of it. It's fine.
Have you seen It Follows, James?
I've not. No, It Follows isn't the one where it's transmitted through sex, is it?
It is, yes.
Oh, it is. Ah, cool.
That's how you pass it to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've heard
it's
bits
metaphor.
and pieces. It's all like sort of pop culture. I've never seen the film properly.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the film. I wasn't absolutely blown away by it, but I think I enjoyed the concept more than anything else. I just enjoyed that idea of something stalking a person and just never letting up. And also the soundtrack's good as well. I really like it.
The soundtrack is great.
Does it have a name, or is it always just called It?
I don't think it does have a name.
They don't even refer to it as it. They're just sort of.
I kind of like that. Like sometimes,
it's just a thing.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't need like The Thing. Sometimes they don't need an overly specified name. Like sometimes you just kind of go, look, we're so busy running away from this thing and trying to survive, we haven't got time to name it. Okay.
Yeah. I just sort of, it doesn't seem that scary on the surface, but then you think, like, you're suddenly told that you have this entity following you, and it can only walk at half the normal rate of a human, so you just fly to another country and you live your life for like a year and a half, maybe longer than that, but you know that at some point it's going to catch up to you wherever you are.
It's going to catch a plane. That'd be and sit there and listen to the safety announcement and and read through the in-flight magazine.
That would be a funny way of doing it. I always thought that it was just like so determined and its will was so strong that you'd just watch it walk into the ocean and it just storm along the bottom of the ocean bed and come up on a beach somewhere in whatever country you're in.
You both picked films that are kind of a good chunk, like a good part of the. You both picked films where a good part of the film is like the human element of the paranoia as well, the uncertainty and the effects it has on the human mind as well.
Yeah, and we both picked monsters where you never actually see what it is originally.
Yeah. It's just some weird, horrible little kind of curse or something, or who knows where it's from. It's cool. Go on, Ben.
But my pick, you do see it in full force, and you know its name. You get to give it a name. We talk about monsters and monster movies. Of course, I'm going to talk about Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. It's one of the
classic.
best.
I've not seen it.
It's so good.
It's a musical, right?
It's so good.
This is another one where I've not seen the actual film. It's just all through pop culture. You get your bits and you hear stuff.
It's great.
The film's so good.
I was watching clips of it, and the actual practical effects of Audrey it's legit amazing. Like the way the mouth moves at such speed and the lips like articulate when it talks. It's not just like a Muppet. It's got like proper like articulation in its mouth, and like there's so much expression in just this plant, and it's got so much personality. I know it's talking about monsters being animalistic and it's more like a force. This is just not that. This is it's a bit like it's a bit. It just wants to eat and feed me, and it's just like it just wants some blood. Like it's just like it's just so good, and it's just like you can sing, and it like talking about like the thing and the different phases. It grows from this little thing. It's just like me, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's got like there's a bit where it rings Audrey, and Audrey thinks that's Seymour over the phone. Rick Moranis, great, and like it's got its weedy arms like tapping its fingers like on the wall. He's like waiting for the phone, and he's got the phone up to his non-ears. It's so good.
Audrey's a he.
Audrey too. Well, it's voiced by a man, and
Right,
Audrey in the film is the love interest, is the lady.
Right.
And Seymour names the plant Audrey too because he's in love with Audrey. But then it has this grown jazz singer's voice. It's so good. It's a great. It's a great film and a fun, but also terrifying monster.
Because it gets massive, doesn't it?
Yeah, really.
It gets absolutely huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fantastic film. Apparently, they are remaking it within the next year.
Of course they are. Everything's getting remade. It's not surprising, man.
And I know that the only person who has been quote-unquote cast so far is Chris Evans as the dentist.
What? No, why? I don't know.
Is that Rick Moranis' character?
No, that's Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin in the original.
See them working similar roles.
Yeah, I'd have to see it. You'd really like Little Horror, James.
I think I would. It's just one of those. There's no reason I've not watched it. I'm not like, oh, that looks awful. I think I would love it. I've just never got around to it.
Audrey 2 is like, it. Like you said, it's weird because it's like hilariously terrifying. Yeah. Like, because it's funny and it's got the jazz singer's voice, and it sings in musicals and it's dead whimsical, and like the way it taps its fingers when it's on the phone, and just the sort of emotion of the plant. But at the same time, it literally eats humans and is forcing Seymour to bring people to be eaten. Yeah,
and that's one of the things as well, James. It's like you can't. Can you really stop it? How do you defeat it? And there is a plot. How will they stop Audrey 2, and do they succeed?
If it's just a potted plant, it doesn't sound that hard to stop. If I'm
honest. It continually grows beyond the pot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's also apparently the original ending, I think close to the musical, was too grim, and they lightened it up for the film. So there is 2 endings. So maybe it will be more like The Thing and straight horror. Don't know.
Okay.
Go on, James.
So I thought I'd take this opportunity while we're talking about the monster genre to distance myself, show that I've got more to me. I'm not just a Marvel fanboy. It's not all that I know. So clearly, I'm going with Blade, the Daywalker from the 1998 Marvel film.
I thought you were gonna go like DC or like Bruce Wayne's a monster. Okay.
2 words. It's Wesley Snipes. That's all. That's like already. That's incredible.
Some motherfuckers just want to ice skate uphill, or whatever he says.
Like I rewatched the first one the other night just to sort of refresh my memory on it, and I was like, look, yes, some of the effects have aged from the 90s, but it's so good. Like it's just a really fun film. There's some decent action in it. The choreography's all right. There's a lot of spin kicks in that film, like a lot. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Blade did running around doing martial arts in a black trench coat before Matrix did it. So.
Did he? Did it predate Matrix?
Like
what year
a
was
year.
Blade?
I looked that up just so that I could make that point.
Wow. Well, the Matrix stole from anime, so nothing's new.
Nothing's new. Yeah, I just enjoy watching Wesley Snipes blow up some vampires.
I'll tell you, James. Have you seen Blade 2?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Because there's those creatures in the second one that like hunt. They're vampires that hunt other vampires. Then they've got their mouths that open up. It's like they did that in The Strain as well. They're pretty freaky. I remember them being freaky.
Yeah, my favourite bit of Blade trivia, I don't think it's the first Blade film, it's one of the sequels, is that Wesley Snipes was so difficult to work with that it's the third film. Christian knows what I'm talking about. There's the one shot where the scene requires him to have his eyes open, but Wesley Snipes, the actor, refused to open his eyes on set for some petty reason I'm not sure of. And so they ended up just like CGing his eyes onto his like eyelids, like fake eyes, and it looks bizarre.
So bad.
Hilarious, ridiculous.
No, I was just going to say that Blade is a great choice, and he is, as far as I'm aware, the only vampire hunter who has ever killed a vampire with a vertical suplex.
Oh, nice. Nice.
It is great. Like, just that whole first scene of the blood rave is such a great idea. It's done well. I'll be honest, rewatching it, I was like, it doesn't really look like blood because obviously it's aged. It's very red, but it's still a cool scene. It's a nice idea. Yeah, I'm really excited for the reboot. I think he's going to be. I can never remember his actual name, but
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, he's going to be so good.
Yeah, I think he just basically came in, didn't he, and went, "Give me the role."
Is it going to be? It's going to be tied to the Marvel universe, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it a film or is it a series? It's a film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the last. It's apparently going to be the last film of this current phase. It's going to close off this phase, meaning that Blade is going to become important. Maybe.
Well, I mean, you say that the ending to phases 2 and 3 were
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Well, we can't. If we're talking about Blade, we can't talk. And mentioning Blade 2, we can't not talk about the King of Monsters, Guillermo del Toro, and all of them. Just like as a whole, just his work and his designs and his monster creations throughout his films deserve an overall mention.
Yeah.
Like the famous Pale Man.
I was just about to say that the Pale Man was another one that was on my list.
Like an amazing creation for such a short amount of screen time with his eyes in his hand, and like my favorite part of him, Christian, is his very thin legs. Like there's like CGI legs he has. It's really. I'm a big fan as well, Christian, of the Angel of Death from Hellboy 2. That's really cool. He has no eyes again, James. He's got this crown thing. He's got these big wings, but he's got loads of eyes in like the bone of his wings. He's got these big long fingers. All Doug Jones as well, all performed by Doug Jones, who played Abe Sapien. Another glorious Del Toro creation.
And the Shape of Water monster.
Yeah.
He was in that as well.
Del Toro is great at designing like just fantastic monsters to look at.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah. Because I was tempted to put in, and it's almost the definition of classic, is the werewolf from American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Because but my thing is, I think the design, once it's a wolf, is a bit basic. It's fine. I think it's hindered of the time, so it's very clear that it's a costume and a puppet, so it never really looks, to me, that scary. But the reason I always put it in is because that transformation scene is phenomenal.
Another fantastic bunch of practical effects.
Because that's my thing with I always say like, I like a werewolf film. I just love a good transformation scene. Like the Wolfman with Benicio del Toro has a good one in that, because it emphasizes more on the fact that transforming from man to wolf really just breaks your body, and it's like shows all these like fingers breaking in the chair, and it like pushing out his teeth as new ones grow. Yeah, it's a really cool one. It's just a shame that the design, well, it's based off the classic Wolfman. It's not wolf enough for me. I like a nice wolfy design.
Ben will know what I'm talking about when I say one of my favourite transformations for werewolves is also in Dog Soldiers.
Yes. Where would we? What would we be doing if we didn't mention Dog Soldiers? Cooper! Like, it's just so good. Dog Soldiers. I don't want to say it too much, Christian, because I know certain people haven't watched it, and that will be
it's definitely one to watch down the line.
But we had to mention it.
One of them I want to mention that I don't know if Dan has seen this. I don't think James has. I know Ben has because we've talked about it. But I wanted to mention Moda, or the creature from the film The Ritual.
Oh, cool! Right.
It's a film from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went to go see it in the cinema, not thinking anything of it. Number one, I really enjoyed that film. And number two, the creature design when you finally see it at the end is amazing. Like this creature has mad amounts of powers. It's like super speedy, super strong. It can shapeshift, and it has. I now know the word for this because I looked it up last night. It has the ability of essokinesis, or the ability to alter reality.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the Ritual's a great sense of like, because the way it's teased out, and the reveal of what is it? Is it a monster? What kind? Like what's the world around it? Not to say too much. I like a film where it begins somewhere and it totally descends. Like I like the idea that when you begin the film, you don't really know what you're watching at first, and the genre almost changes halfway through. Like I really enjoy like talking of vampires, like From Dusk Till Dawn does that as an example.
Fantastic example of that, yeah.
I remember watching the trailer for The Ritual, and they made it look very sort of Wicker Man, Midsummer, possible like weird cult thing, and it has elements of that, but they really sort of flip it on its head with all the sort of Moda stuff and all the weird sort of reality altering stuff that happens throughout the film. And the design of Moda is great when you finally see it, because it's just this amalgamation of bits of animals and humans.
The Ritual is well worth the watch.
Yeah,
good fun.
I'd like to give a special mention as well to the Studio Ghibli films.
Oh yes.
Especially, I don't know if you guys seen Princess Mononoke.
No.
You haven't seen that? I recommend it. It's the animation, as with all Ghibli films, is incredible in that film. But if you watch any of it, watch the opening kind of 10-15 minutes. I reckon you'll be hooked after that, because there's a great monster in that there's a battle with. And it's essentially this big, horrible, like hulking, corrupted mass that's moves like a spider, and it's like really gross to look at, but it's animated so intricately, and it's just a really enjoyable scene to watch. I really recommend you guys check that out, because there's these monsters throughout that film. They're called like the demons, and they take different forms. It's kind of like a metaphor for nature being corrupted by industry, and it's cool, it's good, but check that out because there's some good stuff in there for sure.
Wicked. Do you have another one, James? I've got one I can talk about.
No.
What I have got. You could chime in on.
Okay.
Speaking of television, it'd be a shame not to mention Doctor Who and some of the monsters on that show. One of the better recent creations of New Who, of course, the Weeping Angels.
Incredible.
Are a great idea in addition to the show. Like all these films talking about is these creatures that it's also the human toll of like how do we deal with this, and these statues that even if when you close your eyes they move at immense speed, and then if you open them they freeze and stuff. So the Weeping Angels I think are a awesome monster.
Yeah.
And they're one of the best episodes of the whole show.
Oh, Don't Blink's incredible. And it did that thing that Doctor Who's done a couple times, which I really like, and I think adds to the sort of fear factor of it, particularly as a child, is they built it off something that's real. So this idea that any statue that you look at could be a weeping angel, and just this idea, and the whole thing of sometimes you might see them in the corner of your eye, and that, I just like that idea when they try and
really
ground
cool.
it in something that you already know.
I really enjoyed one of my favourite episodes. Midnight is the one where it's the monster that takes over that lady, and they copy the voices and copies the voice of the Doctor, and that's another one talking about the Thing, and it follows like the human element, like the humans are the real monsters, guys, and like that's really good. And super quick in some of the best Who storytelling, that those creatures in that Torchwood series that want to take all the children. They're terrifying.
Oh, the 456.
Yeah, those things upset me because they're not like I'm okay with a creature that just wants to kill me because it's just like a creature, but those aliens are just junkies and they just want kids because they kind of taste good, or it gives them a high or something. That's all they want them for, and it's just gross, and I hate them. But it's great television, and that was a great show.
It sounds like the vampire type things in Doctor Sleep, because that's what they do. They feed off children.
Vampires in Doctor Sleep.
Kind of, yeah. I think they're kind of modelled off vampires for sure.
Yeah, they're sort of.
Film now.
Yeah, they're vampiric, but they're less. They feed less on.
They don't feed on blood. They feed on the shine that exists within everyone, and children have a lot of this shine apparently.
Tastiest,
yeah. So they feed on children, and there's some horrific scenes in that film that I was actually surprised at how graphic they are.
I thought in The Shining they said that not everyone has the shine.
No, not everyone. I think everyone to some extent has it. Some people have it like majorly and can like tap into a different plane of reality or whatever.
There's a character, James, that hunts people that have they can't just kill anybody. They have to find people.
So it's like the Force, where like it connects all living things. There's an element of it in everyone, but some people are more in tune to it than others.
Yeah, it's essentially that sort of thing. Stephen King explains it is a shine is kind of like your soul, your life essence sort of thing.
It's like if
some people can tap into other people's.
Yeah, it's like if anyone is particularly talented, then that's because of they have like shine within them, and so they seek out like people who have some kind of talent or something like that, because they know that once they get them, they'll get a lot of this shine out of them, and it's
if they have a higher concentration of midichlorians,
midichlorians,
It's funny you mentioned the Force, James. Doctor Sleep has a better representation of mentor and apprentice than the new Star Wars movies. It's just another. It's another better example. Star Wars done better, but not Star Wars.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway,
right, just to bring us back off Star Wars.
Oh God! But the Rise of Skywalker was a really bad.
No.
The true monster is the Rise of Skywalker. Ryan Johnson, J.J. Abrams, they're the monsters. I like Ryan.
I was about to say I quite like Ryan Johnson.
I quite like Ryan and J.J.
Yeah.
If you're watching.
Yeah, there's two more I was going to throw out. I was going to throw out one based on your Doctor Who and say on top of the Weeping Angels, the other one I had written down was the Vashta Nerada
Oh,
Cool concept.
yes, yeah.
Very cool
Hey.
concept.
You turned out the light. Sorry.
Create a second shadow, and if you see that you've got two shadows, then you're done. That's it.
Again, it built off something in real life, like that line of when the doctor's like, "Why do you think the fear of the dark is a thing? Because they're out there." I was like, "Ooh. Well, I'm never sleeping with the light off again."
Yeah.
Same with the Cybermen. It's humans being taken and turned into this robotic drone that we're heading towards. Sorry.
Oh God.
Sorry, I went somewhere.
We're all being turned into Cybermen.
The other one I wanted to throw out there to completely sort of sidetrack from Doctor Who is I wanted to talk about the Brundlefly from The Fly. Specifically the Cronenberg one with Jeff Goldblum, because
not the 50s.
Yeah, because the design in that is amazing, and the best part of that film is watching his transformation, and it's got some really disturbing sequences. There's one in particular where he's stood in front of a mirror, and you can see like bits of him are starting to fall away, and you see him like you see him start peeling off his fingernails and like pulling teeth out,
it's so
and it's
gross.
so disturbing the way that he just slowly transforms into this giant fly creature.
Not just physically, but like he's just losing his human like instincts and what makes him a person. He's literally descending into this creature. It's really worth the watch down the line.
Yes, definitely.
It's
So, does anyone else have any more monsters to throw onto this big pile of monsters we've got already?
No.
He's not a monster, but Frankenstein's monster is truly one of the most sad, tragic figures on film.
Yeah.
It's so... Though I watched those
he's a monster, isn't he?
He's
is
literally called Frankenstein's monster.
But it's
the original
when
monster.
when you watch the films, they're so sad, and how he's just like a child, and it's the humans that they're
the real monster.
They project the monster onto him because they don't understand him. Those films are really sad. I enjoyed them, but I was walking away like, oh my god, like it's not like he's not having a fun time.
Did you guys ever see the stage production of Frankenstein that was out in the last 5 years? So,
I saw the Cumberbatch one.
Cumberbatch, yeah, and Johnny Lee Miller.
That was
Very
10
good.
years, bro. I wasn't 5.
10 years ago?
I watched it during school.
Was it? Nah, it wasn't 10 years ago. It wasn't, because I watched it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was like a new it was like, it must have been a new production or something.
Production, maybe. Okay.
You're really old. Oh, I'm really young. Oh.
I didn't mean like that. I was just saying time is fickle. I didn't mean like that.
No, but like they're really good, because they both there's a really cool kind of thing they do where there's two versions of it, where one night Cumberbatch will play Frankenstein, the next night Johnny Lee Miller plays Frankenstein, and they both bring different things to the roles. I think, it was Johnny Lee Miller that I preferred his performance as Frankenstein, because it was it was very good. And Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't quite as good as Frankenstein. He was just a bit Cumberbatchy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't quite know what that means, but I feel like people do know what it means. Like,
kind of arrogant, talks fast.
Yeah.
it was just
Does
Benedict
this.
Cumberbatch. Yeah.
Can't pronounce the word penguin.
Yes. Yeah.
But
True
yeah.
monster.
Yeah. Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, true iconic monster.
Yeah, I mean, you've always got to sort of recognise the original set of monsters. Stuff like the original Invisible Man, the Wolf Man, Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Mummy.
all that era. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you... well, I suppose it's because it falls into the category of it's a film with a monster, but the monster itself isn't that good. No one's mentioned Brendan Fraser's Mummy.
Because he... Imhotep in that film, he was more just like a man who was...
This is what I mean.
mummified. I don't see him as like my definition, I didn't see him as like a force for nature monster. I don't... do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't think of it.
I'd say he's a monster. It's more the thing of he's not the best thing about that film by any means.
No, yeah.
It's Brendan Fraser.
The Scorpion King, however.
Oh yeah.
Now that was a
That
fucking monster.
I
It
would.
looked atrocious.
I can whack out the thumbnail now.
So yeah, as if no one's got any extras to throw on top.
There's always more, but we haven't got time. Part two.
Yeah. We'll move on to our sort of dessert question today. Our nice little hypothetical, which is going to be if you had to take two monsters and pit them against each other, like Godzilla vs Kong, Alien vs Predator, Freddy vs Jason. They're not really monsters, whatever. They might be monsters. I don't know.
They're monstrous.
They're monstrous. But yeah, if you had to pit them against each other, which two monsters would you pick? Who would like to start?
Go on, host.
You want me to start?
Yeah. I love how we ask this question in every episode as if we aren't always going to say, go on, host, you start.
That's the thing.
Well, it's just become a nice little thing, hasn't it?
He's being polite.
Yeah, so I had trouble with mine because I had to try. I wanted to find two monsters that sort of matched in some way. So I've had to alter mine so that one of the monsters has a little bit more of an advantage than it would initially have. But I've chosen the Death Angels from A Quiet Place.
That's what they're called.
Called that.
Yeah, they're called Death Angels. A really well designed monster. As we've already pointed out, blind monsters, they're great. Because it makes them so much scarier when you can't make a sound. And I was trying to think of some other sort of blindish monster to put them against. I originally thought the Pale Man. He's not very fast. He would get eaten immediately.
If he drops an eye as well, he's buggered.
Yeah, I was going to say he's screwed. So I chose the Crawlers from The Descent.
I wondered if they were going to get a drop.
Yeah. So I would pit them against each other. I'd sort of set it in a cave because then the crawlers need a bit more of an advantage than the Death Angels. But the crawlers are very silent. They can be quiet when they're hunting, so they're not going to alert the Death Angels immediately. They have the numbers opportunity. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be an interesting fight, especially if you do like all great monster movies do, and throw a random group of humans in between them.
Yes. Maybe have to spend
just for the carnage sake.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the Death Angels would check out the cave and be loud checking out the cave, and then the crawlers would then strike, and utter carnage would just ensue of people screaming because they both scream, so it kind of just be like a big bloodbath. They're both fast, they're both strong. They will both eat anything. Yes.
I mean, the crawlers from The Descent are, some would call them forgettable, but I know that at least in the world of video games, the crawlers have inspired a lot of sort of current game creatures. Especially if anyone's played The Forest. Probably not, but yeah. But yeah, those are the two I'd put against each other, and I feel like that is one where if you did put a group of humans in it, the humans would be. It would be quite interesting because they're against two. They're on the crawler's home turf, and they're against two entities that if you make a sound around them, they can just run and rip you apart. So the humans would literally be in the worst possible situation they could be in. Yeah,
I don't know if we should ask this. Who? I guess we could all ask it on ours. Who do you think would win, Christian?
This was the thing. I was like, how many Death Angels would I bring in? Because, again, I feel like they're big and bulky. So I'd say that if it was that a fair fight would be 3 Death Angels versus a cave of crawlers.
Yeah.
And I'd say that, I don't know, maybe the Death Angels would just sort of edge it out because they're faster and bigger. And
I agree.
Have better echolocation.
But they've got them massive claw things as well. I agree.
Yeah.
So This is, again, I guess, loosely the loose definition of monsters, but not really. My first pick, slightly disappointingly, you'll think at first, because it's quite an obvious pick. It's the xenomorph from Alien.
Yeah, right, yes.
I'm going to drop that into the equation right now. I want the xenomorph to fight the pack of velociraptors from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Because I consider those velociraptors to be monsters, right? Like, I do consider that whole film to be a monster film, especially if you consider the T-Rex and just the whole way that thing plays out. It's charging down the Jeep. It's terrorizing people, and the velociraptors are the same. That one scene where they're stalking the two kids, like I remember,
the kitchen,
I was scared of that scene for years. I couldn't watch it when I was a kid. Like, I was so terrified of it because they get everything, the tension of it, perfect, and it's one of the scariest scenes I remember growing up for that reason. But I just think, like, who would win? Because those velociraptors are pretty, like, badass, man. They hunt in packs. They can pretty much kill whatever they want. They can easily kill a human.
You're doing a pack of velociraptors versus one
Yes.
xenomorph. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've got a pretty fair fight there.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
speed fight.
Is it like the sort of Alien 1, like lone hunter xenomorph?
I would say the Alien 1 xenomorph, because I think it's got different tactics. It could bring to the show. You know, the velociraptors are clever. You know, they're clever. They stalk, but so does the xenomorph. So it'd be an interesting fight. And once it actually came down to it, I think it'd be utter carnage.
Yeah.
It'd be an
I kind
interesting
of
fight
feel
to watch.
like the raptors would descend on it.
Yeah.
Then it might be like a draw because they would devour the alien but die in the process because of the acid blood. But I think the tail would. And
I was going to say the tail would definitely be able to take a few of them out. And I mean, if you're going off the one from Alien 1, that, like, I'd say that's the most resistant form of the xenomorph, because it was on its own in the first film. Like, it was a lot harder to take out than, say, subsequent aliens.
Yeah. And if we get the face huggers involved, hypothetically, we may turn the tide of the battle there, and we may, if the xenomorph does end up winning and the face huggers contribute,
a xenoraptor,
we get the concept of a xenomorph velociraptor, which is a horrific prospect, quite frankly.
Yeah, God.
So yeah, that's my pick.
Go on, James.
Cheers.
Mine.
It's a great pick.
Will be somewhat less even than Christian's pick. I feel like it's going to be quite one-sided, and I've cheated a little bit. I'm pitting not a monster, but the original monster hunter, Van Helsing. But he's come up toe to toe with the greats. Who'd you give him to fight next? You give him Randall from Monsters Inc. Just so we watch him kick the shit out of that little prick for a while. Really put him in his place.
Oh my God.
Hugh Jackman with the
obviously Hugh
gun
Jackman.
crossbow.
Yeah.
David Wenham's on the side as a monk versus that weasel.
Exactly.
Of
It'd
Randall.
be great.
Even funnier, it'd just be him walking into a closet and just ending up in the Monsters Inc. universe and just freaking out, being like,
make him into the Pixar graphics as well.
No, it's not. No, Danny. He has to be Hugh Jackman as human form.
Actually going into the Pixar world.
Roger Rabbit style in the Monsters Inc. world.
Okay.
Like, putting salt on Roz, like washing Shmuel up, like doing all that.
it'd just be an entire film of Randall running away and hiding, and Van Helsing like chasing him down like some form of Terminator, like come out.
If Van Helsing can have David Wenham, then Randall should have that little mate that he's got.
Guy.
So David Wenham and that three-eyed guy can have a little punch up in the corner or something as well. That'd be well good.
In a similar vein, the other one I was tempted to do was I was going to have, if I'd not mentioned Blade in the main, I would have had Blade come in and just kick the absolute shit out of Edward Cullen from Twilight.
That'd be really
Just watch him like tear through the entire Twilight universe of vampires.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
That last scene in what was it called? The last Twilight film.
I think the last one's the last one's Breaking
something Dawn. Yeah, Breaking Dawn. The last bit where it looks like everyone's dying and everyone's losing their mind in the cinema and crying, thinking this didn't happen in the books. Oh, like brilliant scene. I forgive the Twilight films to an extent because of that scene.
It was a good way of doing it.
That was that was a good monster fight right there. And Michael Sheen in it as well. What a ridiculous guy.
Yeah, he's great.
So go on, Ben, round us off.
Kong versus Godzilla, it's a bit like, I feel it's a bit like David versus Goliath. I kind of feel like, because really Kong hasn't really got a chance against Godzilla, but that's why they knew that, and that's why they've powered up Kong and depowered Godzilla, because they knew he doesn't really have a shot. So I was thinking, like, what other David versus Goliath fights could we have? So I was thinking, like, the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, big hulking lava creature with a sword, and I thought maybe you would scale him up or keep him the same size. The Were-Rabbit from Wallace and Gromit. I kind of thought that would just be really funny to have, like, maybe a giant Were-Rabbit just kind of go at it against this hulking lava Balrog as they like descend through the mines of Moria, and maybe like the Were-Rabbit could take a chunk out of it with his massive teeth. He's got the big thumpers. He's just like kicking it in the face, and like I just think that would be like really insane. Like it'd just be like,
I mean, you're not wrong. It's definitely insane.
It would just be weird. And I think like if the Were-Rabbit can get the Balrog in the water like Gandalf did, does that kind of a factor in the Balrog's taking the flame out of it? Can the Were-Rabbit like drown it like in the water and stuff? Like I just think that would be like, I just like when Gandalf's like, I fought him from the to the highest peak. Just imagine like a Were-Rabbit on a mountain with like, with the Balrog having a fight. I just think that would be really funny. I think and I had two super quick ones. I'll just say in a sentence. I think it'd be funny to have the Mist versus the Fog, and to see what happens there. And then I thought you'd have as well a good one would be to have the creature from the Black Lagoon versus the Shape of Water versus Abe Sapien in a three-way gill fight. Who's gonna win in
gill fight?
Underwater gill fight. But they would be my most watches of team ups.
In all fairness, one of the ones one of the joke ones I thought of was one that involved the Balrog, but it was the Balrog versus the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, that's so good!
The toasted marshmallow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would be going down in seconds there, surely. Seared marshmallow.
Then maybe like,
but he'd put up a fight.
As he melts, he could put himself on the Balrog, and the Balrog kind of like succumbed
drowns in marshmallow.
Oh my God! They do. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man versus the Cotton Candy Blob from the Scooby-Doo 2.
That's
so good.
Fight! I'm out. See you later.
That's a battle for the ages.
That's
a fight.
That's the ultimate fight. That was our favourite monsters and dream monster fights, kind of. Some of them weren't really fights; they're a bit one-sided, but
some of them
it's funnier that way. Yeah,
a massacre.
So yeah, once again, thank you everyone for watching. Don't I was going to say don't remember. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and hit that bell icon. What are some of your favourite monsters? Maybe there's some that we missed. There's definitely some that we missed.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
What monster fight-ups do you want to see?
Yeah. Is there a definition? Is there a monster that we mentioned that you would say isn't a monster by your definition? Let us know down in the comments or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've got all those. Please go and follow those as well. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
See ya.